I am so impressed with this panel's ability so far to stay within 10 minutes that I'm just blown away. Dr. Kijakazi, please.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk about retirement security from the perspective of a foundation and why this is important for us. Retirement security is a critical part of lifelong economic well-being. And the Ford Foundation's goal for the initiative on building economic security over a lifetime is to have low-income families and communities of color move from economic insecurity to long-term sustainable economic upward mobility. We believe that this requires policy change to provide incentives and structures for these communities to save and invest so that they are able to have the kind of security that upper income families are able to have, because current policies already provide these incentives for them to save and invest. Policy change should be based on sound research and analysis, and thus we fund research and analysis on the Social Security program and its impact on the economic well-being of workers and their families, especially the more vulnerable workers like low-wage workers, women, people of color, and people with disabilities. We also fund work on the impact of proposed Social Security reforms, especially on these workers and their families. We support national polls on people's knowledge about the program and their gaps in knowledge, as well as their opinions about the program and about proposed reforms. So, for example, the National Academy of Social Insurance about a year ago did a policy or a national poll looking at what people thought about Social Security and proposed reforms, and they found that the majority of Americans support restoring solvency to the program in a way that does not burden low-wage workers, and also making improvements in the benefits, making sure that benefits are adequate so that people who work hard all their lives do not have to be in poverty during their senior years. And this majority held across income levels, across generations, and even across different political parties. And they also favored these improvements, even if it meant providing more revenue, paying more in payroll tax, or providing revenue in other ways. We support educational efforts at the national level and outside the Beltway. And this includes providing information to members of Congress and the administration, national media outlets, other national organizations, grassroots organizations, I should say grass-tops organizations with networks across the country, and grassroots organizations. And the grassroots organizations include campaigns that provide education to their local communities and to their local media outlets. Ford Foundation also supports work on pensions. As Leticia pointed out, 50% of all workers are not covered by pensions through their employers, and for workers, low-wage workers and workers in communities of color, only about a third of these workers, as Leticia pointed out, have access to pensions through their employers. Therefore, these workers are more reliant on Social Security and more likely to face poverty when they retire. So we have funded convenings of stakeholders who work in the area of retirement security and on pensions to look at models for expanding coverage, pension coverage to low-wage workers. And we've also supported research on the causes and consequences of limited access to pension coverage and options for expanding coverage to low-income workers and low-wage workers. So one example would be the automatic IRA, and we heard Leticia refer to this. So this would mean that employers who do not have pension plans in place already would be required to provide their employees with automatic enrollment and they would make payroll deductions and direct deposits for their employees into IRA accounts. This would be done with minimal administrative burden and allow these workers to have a more secure retirement future. Finally, we partner with other foundations for carrying out the work. Early on, we partnered with the Rockefeller Foundation on research and analysis, and we funded several of the same grantees. We've also begun collaborating with the Pew Charitable Trust and in doing research on pensions and possible options for expanding coverage. And we've also had a long-term collaborative partnership with Atlantic Philanthropies on several levels, both within Washington, D.C. and outside of the Beltway with grass tops organizations and grassroots organizations. And it's been a very complementary partnership. Ford provides support for education, and Atlantic has the flexibility to fund both education and lobbying. And there's a collaboration not only between foundations, but also between the grantees that we fund. So finally, I want to say that we're so proud to have supported the work of both the Center for Global Policy Solutions in collaboration with the Insight Center and the National Academy of Social Insurance in putting together a commission that looked at Social Security and its impact on communities of color and what options were available to improve the program and ensure that these communities would have retirement security. They put together a package of options to restore solvency, improve benefit adequacy, and to pay for all of these changes. And on top of that, Representative Gwen Moore, who we heard speak before, introduced a bill that was based upon the proposals in that report. So I'll stop there.